Judy, last week we did this blues fingerstyle thing, and we're working on lines 1 and lines 2. I'm going to assume that the video from last week gave you what you needed for that, unless you tell me otherwise. So the transitions might need work. It's okay for right now, but as far as like the nugget of the riff itself, get the riff and line them up, start to repeat it as it says on the page. And then if it takes some work getting from one to the next, that's okay. That makes sense with where we are. But if there's any questions on how to play it, let me know. Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the third line, which is pretty fun. The third line needs a couple of chords. The B7 chord. Okay. Now, even though you're only going to use a couple of these notes, we're going to do it. We're going to put the whole chord down for this, okay? And the way you do it is your second finger, your middle finger is going to play B on the 5th string. Your first finger is going to play D sharp on the 4th string. Okay? Your ring finger is going to play A on the 3rd string. So you have B, D sharp, 3rd finger plays A. And then the last one, the most uncomfortable, is that our pinky plays 2nd fret F sharp on the 1st string. Okay? That's the chord you want. I don't know if that helps at all. What is going on here, Dean? Hopefully that helps. Okay? Middle finger's on B. First finger is on D sharp. Ring finger's on A. And pinky, I can't fit it on there, pinky is on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. B7. Okay, we don't need all those down for this song, but I think it's helpful to just think of it as this chord, so we'll just do it anyway, okay? With that down, you're actually going to play that measure, the first measure of the 3rd line, just like we have everything else. And actually, in this case, it'll be just like you played on the open A measure, so on the first 2 measures of the 2nd line. So your thumb was on the 5th string and your index and middle finger were playing the top 2 strings. You're going to do that here too. And you have that, the riff ends up being, okay? And that's the first part. I would just work on that by itself. Thumb, index, pinch, index. Just get that much down. Do it a couple times so that feels comfortable. And the next thing you're going to do is pinch them and hit your middle finger again on the top string. That's the 3rd beat there. So 1 and 2 and 3 and the 4th beat you just drop your thumb. So together it sounds like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. This chord starts to hurt your hand after a while, so play it, take it off, put it back down, and do it again. The tension of all these different fingers on different strings just starts to be uncomfortable after a while. Or just kind of push when you're ready. And then release the tension, but keep them there. That's the first measure there. 1 and pinch, pinch, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's B7, first measure of the 3rd line. Okay. The next thing is we're going to do, this chord is actually an A7 chord. So it's an A chord with your pinky down. But in this instance, if this is uncomfortable for this week, I can get away with not playing this exactly as you want to play it, just because we don't often play it this way. But try it first. Try it as an A chord with your pinky down on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. So you have an A chord with a G up top. Okay? With those fingers down, it's the same thing you just played on B7. Sorry, I caught my fingernail on that. That's all with an A7 chord. If that chord proves to be impossible for whatever reason, you can get away with just doing this. Okay, I would like for you to at least try that A7 chord first. Okay, if that's the case, if that's an uncomfortable chord and it's just not working for you, it's not the end of the world. Just put your first finger on the 2nd fret C sharp of the 2nd string and your third finger down on G. Okay, just those first notes, just those first two strings. And then the same thing, you do the same thing with your right hand. Okay, try it the other way first. If this ends up being the way to go, I'm totally fine with that. Okay, so when you put those together, they sound like this. Okay, I actually barred that, but it's the same idea. I'll do it again. I'll do it with the actual full chord. Okay, that's your B7 and then your A7 chord. All right, the next thing is exactly like measures 1 on the whole thing. So you go back to this chord. Okay, then it gets pretty fun. All right, the last thing you're going to do is you're going to just finish that phrase up with your first finger on 3. So going again, this is the third measure of the last line. Right there, you're going to end on that pinch. Okay, think of that all by itself. That's just like what you did to start off the first measure of the whole piece and the first beat of the second measure. And just stop. Get the hang of that by itself. And then put all that together. B7. And your phrase again. I'm playing it fast, so if you need to slow it down, I'm okay with that. Because the last thing is pretty neat. We're going to get back into our B7 chord. Okay, but this time you don't have to put your pinky down. You're just going to put these 3 fingers down. So everything but the pinky. Middle finger on B, first finger on D sharp, third finger on A. Okay, that's all you're going to use. But to get to that, this is that last note, the last combination of notes you see before the repeat. Okay, there's a 0 and a 1 leading up to this chord. And the way you do that is you're going to open up the A string, then you're going to take your second finger and put it on 1, and then move it up to 2. So it'll look like this. Can you see me? I'll make sure you can see me. Actually, no. Go back. Do it the same way. 0, but use your first finger on the first fret. I think you'll like that better. Like that. So open A. First finger plays A sharp, and then put the B7 chord down. I think that'll be more comfortable for you. But you don't have to worry about your pinky because you're only going to pinch on the 5th, 4th, and 3rd string. Like that. Okay, it sounds like the blues to me. Okay, but the rhythm of it's going to be a little bit different. It's and 2, 3, 4, right? Because we're coming out of the other phrase. 0, 1, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. All right. Everything together sounds like this. Actually, I'll start there. Everything together. B7 chord. Okay, that is a tricky transition, but you can do it. Okay, the last thing to tell you is just you're going to finish on an E7 chord. So I at least want to show you what that looks like. E with your pinky down on D. Okay, try that this week. It's all 4 fingers, but that's that last chord you see after the repeat sign at the end of the piece. It's an E chord with a pinky on D. Alternatively, if this is uncomfortable, we can also play the D by taking our 3rd finger out. And you have E7 like that, okay? Both of them totally work. Let's try it the way it's written first. An E chord with a pinky on D, okay? Try that. Let's see how it goes. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you next week.